Welcome to the For the Love of the Game podcast with Johnny K. This is episode 23, The Journey. In episode 23, Johnny K shares updates on Stay Social, the Great Canadian Rink Tour, a boys' trip south of the border, and the latest happenings at For the Love of the Game. A conversation about business, hockey, friendship, and the people who make the journey worthwhile. Let's get into it.
For the love of the game, we rise, we play.
Welcome to the podcast, folks. I'm John Collius from For the Love of the Game, and it's episode 23. Time's flying. Speaking of that, I just turned 51. I'm on the back nine, folks. And, got to stay healthy. That's the main thing. And how am I going to do that? I'm trying to play basketball more. I know that sounds funny, but I have a little routine in the morning. I try to make 10 baskets. Sometimes it takes me 20 minutes, and another time it takes me an hour. I'm not getting any better. I am going to have to get some private coaching, but that's a fun tidbit on Johnny K at 51. I'm also trying to become a better golfer. Yeah, I built a tee box, and it's in the batting cage in the backyard, working on my stroke, working on my swing. I think it's a swing. It's not very pretty. It's a half swing. And truth be known, around 2002, I was doing charity golf tournaments. We'd always have them at Stone Tree. Michael Todd, the golf pro, he ran the show there for us, did an excellent job. He's at Legacy Ridge now in Owen Sound. But I remember when we did our golf tournament there, he'd mentioned, hey, Johnny, why don't you come by and get a few golf lessons after the tournament's over? It's on me. No problem. Come see me. So I went to see Michael, and I brought my clubs. And by the end of the session, there really wasn't much he could do for me. I couldn't move my legs. It was a half chop. And he basically said, you've come this far, Johnny. Just kind of keep doing what you're doing. Because 2 tree trunks for legs. Those are my calves. They're planted, and they don't move. So he gave me a couple pointers, just basically watching the ball, a little half swing. And that was it. So I tell my boys, Jack and Charlie, they're starting to golf. And I said, don't be like me and get to be like 22 years old and think I want to golf now and start driving balls in the store and putting holes in the boxes. Get some lessons, get them early, and get out there. Because golfing is fun. It's a good time. Scrambles are the best with the boys. Just having fun. Everyone poking fun at each other. But that's a little bit of everything. That's a reflection at 51. For sure. How am I staying healthy? A little bit of golf, a little bit of basketball, and a brisk walk. My jogging days are over. I did do some jogging back in the day, and I think I hurt myself more than anything because my knees are sore when I play hockey. And I'm just falling apart. But at 51, I got to try to smooth it all out. A little bit of a rant there on episode 23. It's July. Hope you're having a great summer. Quick little intro to the podcast. Our main sponsor, Stay Social, Feel Good. Current update. We have a summer route. We're in about 10 establishments that consists of a few golf courses, couple pubs, a couple restaurants. And this is a test run. Yeah, year 2 with Stay Social. Lots going on. I'm making visits. Dropping in about once a month. We have these cool little fancy coasters. Hey, we're upgrading. You walk in, you ask for a Stay Social, you get a coaster, and that's it. So I'll let you know how the summer route goes, but I'm having fun with it. We might as well start with Stay Social and the Trademark journey. And it's been quite a ride. I applied for the Trademark it was March of 2024. And I applied for the official Trademark Stay Social. And once you apply for something, you can start to use it immediately. And you can use the TM. You'll see TM on our current can. That means trademark. That means it's not officially registered, but it does mean that I could use it. So there's a little trademark lesson for you. But I was super pumped. And before you get a trademark, I deal with a trademark lawyer. He's been good to me. And you can do a trademark search yourself on the Canadian Intellectual Property Act Trademark Office. It's a Government of Canada trademark website, and you can search it, but sometimes you might not get all the information. I worked with a law firm. They were great. We did a search, and then when we came back with the search, there was a couple things that might have been close to Stay Social, but not enough to alarm me to say, you know what, I don't want to go for it. So we applied in March of 2024, and the process takes a while. It takes about a year, and every 5 or 6 months, I'd get an email from the lawyer to say, this is what stage we're at. Here's where we're going. Are you interested in applying for other protections within the trademark? And it got very interesting for me because, during the time that we had the application in, I just went for it. I created a can. I met the people up in Carleton Place in Ottawa, and that's where the natural spring is. And I went to the facility, and I had the whole tour of the factory, and I was on the line, and I was, the can would come off, and I would load it in the boxes. It was pretty cool. And we started selling it last year online, and we started to get a bit of traction. So all this being said, still under the trademark. So we did get a letter that said your trademark, Stay Social, has been approved by the Canadian government, which is dynamite. That was a quick fist pump. I was happy. But what they do then is they publish it in a magazine, and they publish it to the public. And now the Canadian Intellectual Property Office says that my trademark's legit, but they just want to double check it. They want the public to take a look at it. And if there's anyone out there that thinks they have a trademark, a registered trademark close to mine, they can oppose it.
Stay social. Feel good. Check out drinkstaysocial.com.
The date for that was November 28th. So after that date, if there's no oppositions, gold. We're good. We're going to get the registered certificate, Stay Social, and we're good to go. And we can put the R finally on our logo and on our can, which means it's registered, and we have that registered, and we can continue on with the brand Stay Social and the water. But on the 27th of November, I get an email from my lawyer, and I'm thinking it says, yeah, we're good to go. Congratulations. I wasn't really exactly sure on the date. I thought it was actually sooner than that, and they were just connecting to say that we're good. But we got an opposition on the 27th, a day before it was official, and it came from a company, an actual kind of a coffee company, sells equipment, and they opposed Stay Social because they said it was too close to their brand. So you want to talk about anxiety and being anxious and what's going to happen next. And, you get a message from the lawyer, hey, John, call me as soon as you can. So we have a half-hour session on the phone. He tells me what happens now is we have to oppose their opposition and say we do not agree with you. And when we do that, now they have 2 months to come up with proof on why they think my trademark is too close to theirs. So the date for that was like February 8th, 2026. So now there's 2 months of like uncertainty, 2 months of like, do I pump the brakes? 2 months of like, what if I can't register this officially? I have cans, I have water. Then I started thinking of different names. Okay, well, if Stay Social is not going to be it, I love the idea. I love what it's about. Am I going to change the name of it? And then just overthinking, thinking. I knew that, you speak to your lawyer once and it's the ticker's on, right? You get an invoice for that, obviously. And then I want to just call them and say, hey, how do you think it's going? They had 2 months to come up with a defense to say why Stay Social was close to their mark, but they would have to spend a good chunk of money for sure. I know what it's cost me just to have my lawyer, just to reply to my lawyer, speak to him for half hour, have him write the letter to go back to their lawyer to say, no, we oppose you. That was an investment for sure. But for them to start the opposition, that's going to be a lot of data gathering, a lot of information that their lawyer's going to have to do. And that's going to be probably times 5 what my investment was to oppose it. So we just had to sit back and wait. And I was kind of anxious, like I said. And I remember, like, every time you email your lawyer, the ticker's on, right? So I thought I'd be sneaky, and like December 24th, Christmas Eve, I just emailed them. I said, hey, so-and-so, I just wanted to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas, and I hope everything turns out for us in the new year. One of those things. And he replied right away, hey, John, Merry Christmas to you and your family. I'm sure all will be just fine. Have a Happy New Year. And that was me I just needed some reassurance, but I didn't want to have to pay to get that from my lawyer. Kind of funny, but yeah, that's how nervous I was. So February 8th, I'm watching. I'm on the Canadian government website because everything's filtered through there. You can see when it's opposed, and you can see when they submit their evidence. And the 8th comes and goes, and I hear crickets, nothing. So the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, your cost-friendly Johnny K doesn't want to connect with the lawyer because I'm thinking, if I connect with him, then that's another financial investment. And if he has any news, he's just going to connect with me. So the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, whole month goes by, crickets. Another 2 weeks go by. And finally, we get an email from the lawyer, and he's like, the opposing company failed to enter any evidence, and we can move forward now. So, fun fact, we'll rewind just a little bit. A day before the final date, their lawyer actually reached out to my lawyer and said, can we have a 2-month extension so we can work this out? And when they called me and told me that, the advice that I was given, which was good advice, was they're not ready, they're not prepared, and they want an extension, and we're not going to grant them an extension. And that's what we did. And it all worked out because after the deadline, they didn't put the evidence in. And just about maybe 3 weeks ago from the time of this recording, I received the official registered trademark Stay Social. I have it on my van now. I want to shout out to Caden Pruse, did a dynamite job. He is the new operator, owner, young entrepreneur in Newstead. Sign up. I want to wish him the best. But he put the logos on my van. And I made a mistake when I sent Caden the information. And I said, put TM on it. But now that it's registered, I just drove back the other day and I said, hey, buddy, if you don't mind, just peel that TM off and throw that R right in the middle because that took a long time. And just want to have the recognition there. The registered, the R, and that was the journey there. And that's where we are with the trademark right now with Stay Social. And having that official now, we can kind of keep moving on with what we're doing here. With our summer route, I'm always trying to get different ideas on the distribution side. The biggest challenge for me with the water is the weight. Shipping 6 and 12 packs. I'm just not there yet with finding a shipping company that could give me a decent rate that just doesn't absorb all the profit and freight. And no one's going to buy a 12 pack and pay like $20 for freight. So I'm still working on it. There is others out there that are in kind of the same business. They have great ship rates, and I'm just still trying to learn how to do that. So if anyone's listening and has a contact with the freight company, or has any ideas for me, I'm all ears. I'm good. Um, and another thing too, like the volume that I'm doing compared to some of these companies, like some of these companies might have 100,000 cases in their warehouse. You know, I currently have 200 cases. So it's a slow burn. I enjoy the business part of it. I enjoy driving around, meeting people, and that's the like logistics of the business. Stay social. Moving on to like the why part and what it means to me. And when we're in business, um, there's a book called Start with Why, and I've been reading it. Actually, I've read it like 3 times, but I started to read it again just recently. But the why in anything you do is the most important. And I think one of the lines in the book is people don't buy what you have; they buy why you do it. That's not the exact quote, but the why is huge in anything you do. So for me, it's like again the stay social part for me personally. I'm a non-drinker, and but I still love to be in the mix. I love. I made a post there and had a picture of yours truly. I'm holding the can, and it says, enjoy a can of camaraderie. AI is wonderful, by the way, with what you can do for posters and pictures. I'm sure you guys use it all the time, but it's helped me with, making, posters and putting out there on my Instagram story of where Stay Social is being sold, and attaching the business and tagging them, and that's the business part of it. But the word camaraderie for me, inclusion, being in the mix, that's everything for me. And one thing I don't want my brand to be is I don't want it to be pushy or preachy or judgy. I don't judge people that drink alcohol. I don't want it. I don't want the brand to stand for that. It's more about inclusion and camaraderie and just being in the moment. Having a can in your hand and just being there. And I had a good conversation with a buddy of mine who hasn't drank in about maybe 2 months, and I asked him straight out because for me, I've never had an issue with alcohol ever in my life, and I know some people do, and they struggle with it. And I asked him, I said, how do you feel when you're not drinking and you're in a group setting? And he's a confident guy. And he just told me straight up, he goes, you know what, when I'm with my friends, like my true friends, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. I could drink whatever I have in my can, my diet, this, and I'm good. But he said, I do see where there are times that I just don't want to explain myself. I don't want to have to tell people why I'm not drinking, and get into the story, and it gets awkward when someone offers you a drink and like, oh no, oh yeah, sorry man, hope you're doing good. He told me that around his true friends, he's solid because they all know him well. But when he's in an environment that maybe a golf tournament or a party, he said I could see where showing up with a can of Stay Social or a non-alcoholic drink, whatever it is, he could see how that could be helpful for him and others when you're at a party, and sometimes people won't question what you're drinking. Our can looks like a beer. I like that. Funny story, last summer we were at a cottage, and it wasn't until the last day, I was there 2 or 3 days, and Buddy told me at the end that he goes, Johnny, I didn't realize you were drinking water all weekend. Like, I was wondering how you were walking. Like, all I could see is these empty cans of Stay Social, and I'm thinking, like, he's got to be crippled by now. But so that was funny because, I was in the mix, laughing at everything around the fire, having my waters. And for me, it's inclusion, and I like that. So if that's where the brand can sit out there for people, that's great. But that's what the why really means for me.
Stay social. Feel good. Check out drinkstaysocial.com.
I can't wait to see what happens with it, but getting the trademark registered officially has helped with my anxiety, and it's helped me kind of move forward now. I'm trying to start to think like I'm a small little business, stay social. I'm getting ideas. We made a coaster, like I said. A lot of times you'll see like in the business, like vans driving around with their brand on it, and they're going in and they're checking up on people. That's what it works out for my route, Grey Bruce County, this area, with our For the Love of the Game Association, promotional corporate wear, embroidery, printing. I sound like a computer. But with all that, we're delivering to the same area. So now I get in the van and I can deliver some packages. I can deliver a few cans of Stay Social. I can check up on a golf course. And I can do that all in this area. And then I can get a gauge, slowly but surely. I'd love to get the brand Stay Social into some like maybe university atmospheres, you know what I mean? Or something like that. But it's just about asking questions and meeting with people. And I'm never afraid to connect with someone, do a cold call and say, hey, I understand you were in the business years ago. You might be retired, but would you just sit down with me and talk about my brand? Sometimes I have to force myself. I'll be in the car outside a pub and like, you're going to go in there and you're going to bother them. Like, what are they going to say? No, but you know what? Sometimes you just got to push yourself, walk in, 6-pack. Hey, would you try this? And, sometimes we get no's. Sometimes like, you know what? We don't sell sparkling water, or we don't have a high demand for still water. But other times, you surprise yourself. You go in and they say, sure, we'll love to try it. And 2 weeks later, you're dropping off a couple cases and you're going to see how it goes. So that's where we are. That's where we're at with Stay Social. Feel good. There we go.
Stay social. Feel good. Check out drinkstaysocial.com.
Speaking about feeling good, I had a really cool boys trip. It was in May, and I went to Comerica Park. Went to Detroit, and it was a good mixture of guys. Some good friends I grew up with, and we're at the stage now, like I said, 51. Their sons are like 20, 21, so it was like a split trip. We had some 50-plussers, and then we had some 20-plussers, and there's about 10 of us, and we went to 2 Tigers games. If you've never been to Comerica Park, unreal. Like, I was just floored. I've never been there before. The ballpark is kind of sunk into the ground a little bit. I thought that was cool, and that's a ballpark. I know we're used to the Rogers Center, and I know they're doing the best they can. It's a big hunk of concrete, and they've done upgrades the last 2 or 3 years, and it's still a nice place to watch a game. But what I noticed that I like better about Comerica Park is just, walking through the foyer there. Just it's wider. There's more to do. You don't have to sit at your seat. You can wander around, and what I do is I disappear, and no one knows where I'm at. But I'm trying about every food station. Oh, brisket. Give it a shot. Couldn't find the ice cream place, to be honest with you, in Comerica Park. 2 people walked by. I kind of stood right in front of them. I stopped them. I said, where did you get that little baseball helmet filled with ice cream? So they said, you got to go down, take a right. And if you've gone by the cotton candy, you've gone too far. But yeah, Comerica Park, great trip. 2 nights. We stayed at an Airbnb in Detroit. Never thought I'd ever say that, but it was in a safe part of town, and everything was great. But the reason for the story is I got home, and I remember Tuesday morning, got up for work, a little bit of a gray day, and Johnny K's in the dumps. Like, I'm down. I'm like, how could I be down? Just had a great weekend. 2 days with the fellas in Detroit. I came home. I spent 2 days with Kathy here at the house. We got lots done. Tuesday morning comes, and I am just depressed. I am down. And that's when I realized, I know along my journey, I talk about mental health, and I talk about, when people ask me, why don't I drink? One, I don't like the taste. That's 100% guaranteed. Unless it's a buddy that came home from playing pro hockey, and he introduced me to Crown and Cranberry. Yeah, Crown Royal and Cranberry. Just don't try that because it tastes like Kool-Aid. But anyways, I didn't mind the taste of that. But all in all, beers and all that stuff. But I always struggled after I drank. So, I would drink, and then 2 days later, I'd be down and depressed. And then finally, I think at about 45, I put it all together. Johnny, you only drink 2 times a year, and then you're depressed for 3 weeks after. Why bother? So that's why I don't drink. But I felt down and depressed on a Tuesday after a long weekend, after I had an outstanding weekend. And that's where I realized that that's my own psyche. That's my own nervous system. And that was like, see, John, it's not just alcohol that makes me depressed or others. Sometimes it's just the high of being away, and you come back home and, now you're, back to work, you got things to do. And you just got to get on with your work world. You got to run your kids around. You got to do this. You got responsibilities. You're not at Comerica Park walking around, having fun, laughing, playing cornhole. That's a great game. And, but that's on the mental health side of things. I always kind of assumed that I felt depressed because alcohol was involved. So I get down sometimes now, like I did Tuesday, but the key for me now is knowing that, snap out of it. It's just a day, and a day or two. And then, you finally climb out of it. You start moving and you get out of it. But I just found it interesting that, away with the boys, a couple Tigers games, the Jays were there. We had lots of fun. The car ride was fun. We laughed the whole way. And then for some reason on the Tuesday, the first day back to the work week after a long weekend, I felt down and depressed. But that's just normal. And I'm starting to realize that. And before I used to attach that to alcohol. Well, guess what? I didn't have a drop. I drank Stay Socials all weekend. I was in the mix. And there was some young kids there too, like I said. And, we talked about it. And I remember being 20 and having a blast and getting after it and going to the bars and just laughter. And we all just sat back and laughed. And so I'm not sure what the moral of that story was. It's more mental health and how, for me, I always attached it to like it had something to do with alcohol. But I just learned that it doesn't. It doesn't. It's just being away all weekend, being on a high, and come home to the real world. And it's just, I struggled a bit. But when you struggle, the best part is knowing that, you're aware of that and you either talk to someone or you just grind it through. But I thought that was interesting. So a little sharing by Johnny K.
Stay social. Feel good. Check out drinkstaysocial.com.
Where did we go on the Great Canadian Rink Tour today, folks, or the last couple months? 2 rinks, 2 stops. We went to the Alder Recreation Center, Orangeville, Ontario. That was a nice place. Charlie had a hockey tournament there this year. I'm sure you've been there. It's right kind of like in the heart of Orangeville, just off the bypass. Lots of stuff around it. Beautiful rink. One of the funny comments was, I hope you enjoyed it because it cost us taxpayers a lot of money. And I never think of the taxpayer stuff. I think of it as a facility. Kids are going there. They're enjoying hockey, lacrosse. There's a pool there. There's a gym. I think there's a library. But I don't know. I've never got into. That's the first comment we've ever had in 3 years that someone started talking about the taxpayers' money and how they overspent. I never think about it when it comes to sports for me. Anyways, the other rink I went to was the Tiverton Arena. My buddy Chris Davies. I grew up with Chris, Kincardine, Ontario. He loves his job. He's the director, or he runs the show at the Davidson Center in Kincardine, his hometown. I talked to him one day. That's his dream job. And he's happy to be there. He was in Ripley, in Goderich, and he also takes care of the Tiverton Arena. And they've had plenty of upgrades. New boards, new refrigeration system. Chris gave me the tidbit that they used to call it Shiverton because the heaters didn't work very well and it was very cold. And the Whitney Crawford, I hope I said that right, Chris. That was the name of the old Tiverton Arena. So I would have played there when I was a local league prodigy in Kincardine in the early to mid 80s. We might have had a game there. And the Tiverton Thunder, I forgot about those guys. They played in the WOAA Men's Senior Hockey League for about 5 years. So Chris was great for giving me the tidbits on that. That was the two stops on the Great Canadian Rink Tour. We're still going to continue with that. We're making some changes to our website for the Great Canadian Rink Tour, which now we have a trademark in on that. So I can tell you that because it's in the system, but we thought we would protect that with a TM and see where it goes. Great Canadian Rink Tour. But what we're going to do now, what's happening with when we get people comment, hey, you should go to this rink or that rink, it's so hard to keep track because people will get us on Messenger, they'll DM us on Instagram and TikTok, our story. There's just about 3 or 4 platforms that people are putting their rink suggestions in. So I'm working with a webmaster to change our website a little bit. So on our fortheloveofthegame.com, we're going to have a page that's called the Great Canadian Rink Tour. And we have those 2 domains now. It's going to be thegreatcanadianrinktour.com or greatcanadianrinktour.com. And what I'm going to try is when we do those videos, we're either just going to tell them some type of, I always ask people, where should I go next? I'm going to tell them that, hey, if you want me to check out a rink, why don't you go to thegreatcanadianrinktour.com and fill in the request, and we'll connect with you, and we'll do our best to get there. That way, when we go to these rinks, we can always mention the person who mentioned the rink, who gave us the suggestion. But I think they call that streamlining. I don't know. I'll let you know how it goes. The Great Canadian Rink Tour, it's going to snowball. We have a cool logo now, and that's came possible by my great neighbor who lives down that way on Durham Road. If I'm Durham Road East, Helen Hopkins has to be Durham Road West, I think. We'll confirm. But anyways, Helen has been drawing art for me for decades. She was the first person that created the Fourth Line Hockey logo for me, a cool little guy here. I remember going to her kitchen table, and she drew that for me, and we still work together now, and I told her about the idea about the Great Canadian Rink Tour. Again, went to her place, kitchen table by the computer there, and then she put together this wonderful logo, and I'll show it to you shortly here. But yeah, that's where the Great Canadian Rink Tour is. We're going to try to work smarter and try to continue to build it. Currently, we've been to maybe 80 plus rinks. That's another thing too. What happens in our comments is someone will say, hey, you should go to the Hanover Arena. Well, I've already been to the Hanover Arena, but what I want to be able to do with the help of my webmaster is figure out, I could put that link into it. So I can say, you know what, I've already been there. Here's the link, enjoy. And the other thing is when you go to thegreatcanadianrinktour.com, you can see all the rinks that I've been to, and I'm going to attach all the videos that go with it. And in my head, it looks pretty smooth. I'm sure there's going to be some bumps in the road trying to figure it out technically. But that's why I have some help from my webmaster, and we can figure it all out. But the Great Canadian Rink Tour, that's a lot of fun. Hope to get out east this coming year, maybe out west again. But the highlight so far for the Great Canadian Rink Tour was Flin Flon. That was fun. I went to Winnipeg, and I know there's so many rinks out there. And I always kind of joke in my videos when I say it's going to be a 30-plus year project. But that gives me something to look forward to. And I'm going to hope that you watch them. I hope you like them. And if you have a suggestion, write it down in the comments. And hopefully by the time this video is posted, we always do teasers, this podcast. So if you recommend a rink, maybe I will be ready to put the link in the comment, and then you can just hit it, and it can take you to the platform there where it says what rink you recommend, some information, and we'll go from there. So that's where we are, folks. The Great Canadian Rink Tour is a lot of fun. stay social. We're going to continue with the brand, slow and steady. It's just about showing up. Sometimes, just like all projects, sometimes you just, you get unsure. But I always find with whatever we're doing here, if we can just do one thing, just maybe make one contact, send one email, do one drop off, and it's just showing up every day and just trying to just be persistence. That's the key here. As for love of the game in our business here, Zoe and Chris and I, we're busy with associations. We're starting to get a lot more corporate opportunities, which is great. Corporate, that's like, I would call corporate like 200 plus companies, but we do a lot of associations. Right now it's baseball season. And, we're currently, you can order online, we ship it out, we can deliver it to you, and selling our brand for the love of the game as well. So everything's busy here with the brand and the business and the podcast. So that's a lot for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Johnny K from For the Love of the Game. You've listened to episode 23 of the podcast, and I hope you continue to do that. And, cheers. Thanks a lot. Thanks for listening.
For the love of the game, we rise, we play through the